What's going on, everybody? Standing outside in the garage, having a smoke. And I was thinking, you know, I've been meaning to start this podcast, so I might as well now. The wife's down at my son's track meet. I got out of work too late to go. My daughter's back down at college. So I'm by myself for the next couple hours till they get back. And I got to thinking, as an only child, I don't know, I'm speaking to all you other only children out there. Did you ever feel when you were growing up that even if you had friends, that you still didn't really fit in? Like, growing up, I had best friends, and if it was just me and my best friend, we had a great time. We'd hang out all the time and do all kinds of cool shit. But as soon as one or two more people would join us, it almost seemed like I became the butt of the joke every single time. Like, I wasn't good enough to be a best friend anymore, or if I ever was. I'm just curious if I'm the only one that feels like that, or felt like that, or if there's others like me out there. And it might not even be a only child thing. It might be, just the type of person, that I am. I was a great friend. I'll say it right now. I'd do anything for my friends, but it didn't seem like I got that in return. Especially from the guys. I don't know what it was. I was always the tallest in the group. Because by the time I was 14, I was 6'1", and I don't understand it. I was good in sports. I played sports with all my friends, but it still seemed like I was their fallback friend. Like, if nothing else was going on in the day and they couldn't get a hold of anybody else, that's the vibe I got. Like, I would be the last resort call to hang out. And I was thinking about that today, and I don't know, maybe that's why I'm the type of personality I am now, where, I mean, I can get along with anybody, but I can also drop anybody in a heartbeat and not talk to them ever again, and it does not affect me. Hell, my dad died, and it didn't affect me at all. And I hadn't talked to him in like 12 years, and they lived like a half hour away from me and my family. And speaking of my family, my wife, my kids, they're the only ones really that I care about and actually care what they think about me. Anybody else that I know, acquaintances, I don't really have friends. I have acquaintances and I have coworkers. That's all I care to have. I don't want to go hang out with people. I don't know if it's because of how it was when I was younger, that I don't want to feel like the third wheel or the, secondhand friend. I know this sounds kind of like a bummer. I promise you stick around, it's going to get better. I got some wild shit. And I'll explain. You know what? I'm just going to stop talking about that first subject altogether. Let me know in the comments if you want to, if you felt that way growing up. But that's all for that right now. This is the first episode of the Mask Off podcast. Now, I call it the Mask Off podcast because if you go to my Subtly Sinful YouTube page, you're going to see some wild shit. See, I have these masks and nobody's seen my face. I don't say who I am. I use a fake first name for myself. And I have myself in a mask. And then I have, they're kind of like my alter egos in these other masks. I don't know why I did it. It's almost like I'm more free to just be crazy and get the shit out of my head that just comes to me that I think's funny. When nobody knows who I am. It's easier to do it that way. I don't know. I don't know if I'd feel shame if I didn't wear the mask. But I think it's kind of unique too. You know, people not knowing actually who I am. Kind of just wondering. But, so I have a mask of myself. It's kind of like, I came up with it on my phone. You know, I did the whole Android turn your photo into a little emoji guy, or not emoji guy. I don't even remember what it's called. But then I just created a mask out of that. Had it, made and shipped to me. Did some videos like that. And then I got some other masks, from characters that I used in my videos. And you can see, if you watch from the beginning of my channel up to what it is now, it's completely different than what it originally started out as. It was a business model at first that I just gave up on that because it was, if it actually worked, it was going to take all my time, and I work more than full time outside of this. And I just wouldn't have had time to do it. And if I was going to do what I was planning on doing, I'd want to make it perfect because I don't want to put out a bad product, but it would have taken way too much time. And the AI isn't good enough yet. And I'm not a programmer, so I couldn't even have set up the whole thing to do it how I wanted to. But that turned into starting a YouTube channel, and then started making what I think are funny videos. And that's where we are right now. And this podcast that I'm doing right now that you're listening to is my attempt at kind of showing you the process that I go through. I'm thinking I'm going to use it as a sounding board. And not necessarily a sounding board, because I'm going to do the videos that I want to do. Well, I want to show you, I'll just kind of throw out ideas, just things that pop in my head. Normally, because I'm a truck driver. So I'll throw a podcast on while I'm driving. And before I know it, 45 minutes has gone by, and I haven't heard anything on the podcast because I've just got idea after idea after idea just popping in my head of videos that I can make, funny ideas, things like that. And we have cameras in our truck, so I can't hold a phone to pick up the phone and record, what's on my mind so I don't forget about it. And so I figured, you know what? I have those thoughts when I'm at home too. And I might, I was thinking about maybe in the morning, when I get in my truck for work, I could hook up a Bluetooth mic or something, clip it on. Sorry. I'm a smoker. Have been for like 30 years now. If you got them, light them up. If you don't start. But I was thinking clipping in, a mic on the visor and just hitting record and taking off. So I've got a good hour and 15, hour and a half to my first stop every day. So I could get some good, recording time in there, get my thoughts out, kind of clear my head for the day's work. And, but I'm thinking I'm going to use that and just throw out the ideas, and then you can see. I won't say what videos I'm going to release that week, but I usually do like 2 videos a week or so, and then shorts like every day. I'll throw out some shorts, but you'll be able to see like the videos come to life from what just the ideas that I was throwing out, and see if they're anything that you imagine that they'd be like, or better than what you thought. I'm hoping they're better than what you would think they'd be. I've got so many big plans just going around in my head, and if I had the finances, I'd be doing them all right now. But, I kind of have to take it as it goes. And when I've got a little bit of extra money, I'll put some money into it, upgrade some stuff. Right now, I'm just recording off my phone. So, and I use my wife's laptop that's slow as hell for like video editing and all of that. I don't have any fancy equipment or anything. I shoot the videos with my phone. I'm hoping to upgrade some kind of a camera, like a GoPro or something. I don't know. But I need a better laptop before I do that. But I just thought it'd be kind of a cool idea. You guys can kind of hear the concepts before they come to life. And to tell you about the Mass, for the 3rd time, I'll say it, I've got the mask of myself, and his name's Sean. So that's what I go by. And I've got a mask of Satan, and I named him Carl. Carl the Dark Lord. Kind of stupid, but in my videos, Carl's a good guy. He's just a good guy. And he talks like this. That's Carl. So, the other one I got, you probably already guessed, his arch nemesis, JC. That's what I call him. That's what he goes by, is JC. Jesus Christ. JC, Carl is what I feel like I am. I'm a good guy, but if you piss me off or screw me over, right? I give people one chance. I've been done for a long time giving people chance after chance. I'll give you one chance. You screw me over and we're done. Because I can drop someone out of my life and not look back and not think anything of it. You're just somebody I met. But if you're good to me, I'm good to you. I don't care who you are, what you look like, what race you are, what religion you are. I'm not religious. That's the funny thing about these Mass is I grew up in a pretty religious household. I mean, we went to church 3 times a week. I had pastors in my family. everything. My dad was gonna be a pastor. He ended up being a radio DJ. A little bit of a turnaround there. But I was forced to go to church, which basically forced me to not want to be there. And then just over the years, thinking it through, and I don't believe it. There's just so much that contradicts it that I have a hard time grasping that can be reality. So I'm not saying there's nothing out there, but I don't think it's what's in the Bible. I'm sorry. If that's what you believe, good on you. I'm glad that you find solace in, believing in a higher power. I don't fault you for it. But if you're going to claim to be Christian, act like it. That's one thing I don't like, is a hypocrite. Like a lot of people that were in the church that I went to, including my own dad, don't act a certain way in public and then completely different behind people's backs or at home. Just be yourself. I don't sugarcoat myself for anybody. If you know me, you know the real me. That's just how it is. So JC is like, he's a scumbag in my videos. That's the other funny thing. They're like polar opposites. Carl is what Christians would think JC is, and JC's what Carl, that kind of thing. So he's like a womanizer, cocky. He's everything that I don't want to be. I can act a little cocky here and there, but it's all in fun. I don't honestly believe in, unless it comes to my work. That's one thing that I am cocky about. I'm good at my fucking job. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody that works harder than I do, and takes pride in their work and their work ethic, more than me. I'm sure there's others just like me, but not around here, and not anybody that I've worked with. So I do take a lot of pride in my job, my career. Hell, every job I've had since I was 13. So I don't know. I got that going for me. I've been a shitty parent, a shitty husband. I quit drinking and turned all that around. Most of that had to do with the drinking. This month actually will be 2 years sober after a little overnight stay in jail. First time I ever went to jail, and I was in my 40s. First time I ever got in trouble with the police, period. And I was in my 40s. So it was a bullshit thing. Ended up being dismissed anyhow, but either way, it was a big wake-up call. And I'm glad it happened, because it changed my life, And, if you got a problem with alcohol, get help. Stop into a meeting, an AA. I don't know. I was going to AA for over a year straight. Not every day, just like once a week. And within the last, I want to say 4 months or so, I haven't gone had a lot of family stuff happen, like deaths in the family, things like that. Things have been busy. Plus, like, my problems compared to other people's problems, and at least in the group that I was in, I felt almost embarrassed to go because I didn't have anywhere near the issues that some of the people in my group had, or let a lot of the people in the group had. My only issue is if I start drinking, I don't stop until I black out. That's my only issue. I don't crave it. I don't have to have a drink. People can drink around me. It doesn't affect me. I don't even think about alcohol. But if I do have a drink, then I tend to just keep drinking. And that becomes an issue. So, I don't know. The chips are nice that you get, but I don't need chips to validate my sobriety. I know I'm sober. My family knows I'm sober. I got my 1-year chip, but now I don't feel like I can go back, at least not, if I did, it wouldn't be this month, because then it would just look like I was going back just to get a chip and then leave it again. But I don't know. When we do our whole sharing thing, when there'd be new people that'd come in, I didn't even want to share because mine was so trivial compared to everything that everybody else was going through. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I don't have these problems. I don't even think about alcohol. All these other people think about it 24 hours a day. They have to go to meetings every day, sometimes twice a day, just so they don't drink. And I don't know. I feel like I don't belong there. But for people that do have issues like that, I highly recommend you go. There's people in there that got their 20-year chip and they're still struggling. And I'll never understand that. At least I hope I won't. So anyhow, JC, the person I never want to be. And I got one other mask, and that one I call him Randy. Now, Randy's a fat fucker. He got a big ass head, and all these images were AI generated that, just from me making videos, and then I just turned them into, used the faces and turned them into masks. But Randy is somebody that I don't want to be, or that I'm trying not to be. And I was doing good at first. Because like I said, he's a big old fatty. And when I was drinking, I got about 50, 60 pounds over what, my normal from high school up till a couple of years after I got married, so 23. From 16 to 23, I weighed like 185 pounds. And I got up over that, for a good long time while I was drinking. Well, I quit drinking and changed my diet, started exercising, and I got down to, I think it was 195. I was 10 pounds away from my goal weight. I wanted to get back down to 185. Well, then things happened, and it was a combination of me being lazy, using my father-in-law's death as an excuse to not go. I'll get there tomorrow. I'll get there the next day. Well, it never happened. So, and then work got super busy. So I was putting in 12 to 14 hours a day at work. And the last thing I wanted to do was go to the gym for an hour, come home, eat and go to bed, and not see my wife at all. So, I use that as an excuse too. Well, now that we're fully staffed for the first time in a couple of years, my days are more like 10 hours a day. So I'm planning on getting back in there. It's a goal of mine. I want my wife to go. We both need to get in shape. I don't know. I don't give a shit about the looks. I don't like the way I look. I think she looks great. I just want her to be healthy and stick around for a while, as well as myself, because we're going to have grandkids one day. And I'm hoping the kids want us to be there. Since they did come out of my nutsack and out of her stomach. So, but that's kind of what's going on. I'll throw out some, other thoughts too on this podcast, but I think the main part of it is just ideas that are going to be going through my head about the next videos I'm going to make. And, I hope it's something you find interesting. I mean, if you're a trucker and you just want to throw something on, that's not anything you got to really pay attention to, but it's, it's noise to drive out the dullness of driving for a long time. Trust me, I know. I'm a local driver now. So the furthest I'm away from home base is like 2 hours. But I used to have a dedicated Midwest account. And, I'd be putting in my full driving hours for the day. So I did that for a year until I could find a local job. Found a local job. Now I've been there for 15 years. So plan on retiring there. I've got probably another 25 years by the time that rolls around before I can even retire. But thanks for listening. And yeah, if you guys ever felt like you were the backup friend, let me know. I'd like to know if it's kind of even with people that have siblings and single children, or if it's more of a single child mindset. I'm just kind of curious if it's just people like me or if it's everybody. I mean, who knows? Everybody might feel like a backup friend. And it might just be all in their head. That's something to think about. All right. I'm going to let you keep living. And I'll catch you next time. Later.